You spoke in your last transmission about the importance of balancing masculine and feminine energy at this time and seemed to be encouraging us to lean into the feminine. To clarify, when you're talking about feminine energy leading to a more preferable form of open contact, are you saying to move away from masculine energy entirely, or rather to integrate masculine energy in a healthy way with the feminine? What would a healthy masculine energy balance in line with open contact look like?
Obviously, if you understand all the messages we have delivered to you, we are never going to tell you to move away from one energy or another. It's all about the idea of integration and balance. So, the feminine energy of nurturing and support in that way can be balanced with the masculine energy of assertiveness and standing one's ground, expressed in a non-violent way, not in an aggressive way, but in an assertive way, in a knowledgeable way. And both sides can benefit from this in a balanced state, where you can have something as a masculine energy, or what is typically referred to as a masculine energy, that doesn't even necessarily have to be looked at anymore as masculine. Whereas the idea of a nurturing and supportive energy doesn't even necessarily have to be looked at anymore as a specifically feminine energy, where you can have beings that are confident in themselves, capable of being so confident and assertive about who they are that they are capable of expressing a nurturing and supportive energy to others and being of service in that way. So the balance is that that's how it would look. You are grounded and assertive and confident within yourself enough that you can actually be of service in supporting others in their life path as well.
And it seems that you put a great focus on us finding balance in our reactions on different levels. Could you expand on that? Is there any exercise or meditation that you could offer for us to practice balance?
Well, again, the idea would be to ask yourself why you would choose something that would be representative of being out of balance. In other words, the idea of knowing yourself more fully, more transparently is very important to the process of staying in balance, because then you understand why you believe what you believe and can easily or more easily recognize when it might not be representative of being in balance with yourself, of not being within integrity within who you truly are, within your essential core frequency or vibration. So the idea is to ask, why would I choose something that would be out of balance? Why would I do that? It is all part of knowing yourself. It's all part of your self-investigation and recognizing the idea that we have just described as being in balance by having a assertive confidence about who you are and your preferences, and yet at the same time also being open to the strength in vulnerability that allows you to be of service to others. That is a representation of balance. And so why would you choose anything other than that?
Okay, and you once mentioned the importance of storytelling for our civilization, especially for kids. What key elements must a story touch upon to resonate from your perspective?
You have all the information of the key story points in your reality. You can read The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell. You can read almost any book written about writing screenplays. They all touch on the idea of the resonant points of story structure that exist within your psyche that need to be accessed when telling a story so that the story rings true within your mentality, within your psyche. So refer to any of those kinds of books to explain the concepts of story structure. They also are representative of ideas in your actual life path that make your life relevant and explain the idea of why you go through processes to learn lessons. So reading about the idea of story structure in some of those books can help you understand why you choose to go through physical reality processes to gain more insight and create more discovery about who you are and grow as a soul.
And this person is saying that they're a bit confused about how two things you mentioned work together. On one hand, you said that when we speak with you, we are essentially speaking with ourselves. On the other, you said you're observing us to see how we evolve and determine if we're ready for open contact. From a human perspective, these ideas seem contradictory. Can you help clarify this?
Yes, they are not contradictory in the sense that I am a reflection of what your higher mind would say to you. So, in that sense, speaking to yourself means that the conversations you are having with us are somewhat representative of the kind of answers you would receive from your higher mind, from your own soul. We are a representation of that. At the same time, we are our own person and therefore can have a separate observational regard for what it is we are watching, what it is we are observing. We can function in both ways. We are a multidimensional being, just like you are. We have our own identity and can observe as ourselves, and yet at the same time can perform the function of being a reflection of the kind of conversations you would have with your own higher mind.
Thank you.
Yes.
As you've encouraged us to start conversations with those on the other side, I've been following my highest excitement by trying to engage meaningfully with family members whose views I deeply disagree with, especially when those views seem rooted in prejudice or hatred. I genuinely want to respond with curiosity and understand their perspective, but my reactions of sadness, pain, and ultimately disgust often show on my face and shut down the conversation. I recognize these emotions stem from my own thoughts and beliefs, but I'm unsure of how to identify the limiting beliefs that are preventing me from fostering genuine dialogue and connection. How can I shift my perspective to keep the conversation open despite the hurt that I feel?
The hurt you feel is based on the idea that you are judging yourself based on what they are saying, that you feel that what they are saying you're taking personally, as if it disqualifies or invalidates the beliefs that you have, just because they have contrary beliefs. So don't take it personally. Allow yourself to understand that they can make whatever statement they wish to make. It has nothing to do with invalidating the beliefs that you hold to be true for your reality. So the only reason you feel hurt is that in some way, shape, or form, you are thinking that what they are saying is invalidating the beliefs that are relevant for your reality.
Okay, and can you explain the concept of free will of others in the context of the multiverse? For example, if I wish to be in a universe where my marriage is working, where is the boundary between my being able to access that universe, which should be limitless, and my partner having his own free will of not wanting to, which is a limitation?
Well, it can be a limitation, but sometimes it's also representative of what is and isn't vibrationally relevant or compatible for someone's life path. So you don't necessarily have to look at someone's differences as a limitation if they are actually truly understanding what is relevant for their life path, which may not necessarily mean that they need to continue the relationship with you. However, there may be some small degree of insistence that it has to work out the way you want it to work out. Nevertheless, the idea is to explore whether or not there is enough common ground or whether your differences are vibrationally compatible with one another, that you can be willing to reflect to each other what you need to know to become more of who each of you are. If you're willing to do that, if you're both willing to do that, then the relationship can continue in a certain way. But if one or the other, for some reason, whether it is a limitation or not, is simply not willing to move forward in reflecting to the other what you need to become more of who you are, then it is something that may need to be discontinued. And that could be the most loving thing to do, to allow each of you to attract into your lives what you actually need to have reflected to you by another individual who will help you become more of who you are, rather than struggling to make something work that each party is simply not capable of vibrationally finding enough compatibility to do so.
Okay, and can you talk about the energy of resistance and avoidance? If we find that we are resistant about a particular path or teaching and not sure if it's right for us, is that a sign that it actually is part of our path, or can we have resistance to things for healthy reasons too? How can we tell the difference between something we are avoiding that is good for us and something that we are resisting because it might not be good for us?
This goes back to the old idea of understanding yourself clearly enough to know the difference between what is representative of your passion and what is representative of anxiety within you. You have to know yourself more clearly. The idea isn't that difficult to tell the difference when you are honestly willing to look at why you believe what you believe to be true. So the idea is to ask those questions and to understand that when you recognize that something is not vibrationally compatible with you, it's not about resisting it. That's not the energy that you would experience. You would simply recognize an alignment within yourself that is simply telling you that this is not vibrationally compatible with your life path or with who you truly are. You won't feel a resistance to it. You will simply not be able to relate to it in a certain way. So that's a different feeling than experiencing resistance. If you actually experience the energy of resistance, then that may be a sign that you're actually avoiding something you need to explore or you need to look at. So the energy of recognizing something that is not relevant for you, not vibrationally compatible, is different kind of energy than the energy of resistance, which can build up in your body in a very different way. So if you find that you do feel that resistance, let yourself move forward a little bit to explore why that resistance is there, because you may be avoiding something that you really need to look at. If you get to a point in examining all that and exploring all that and looking within yourself more clearly and get to a point where you realize that it has been about simply not being vibrationally compatible all along, then fine. The energy will change from the energy of resistance to simply the energy of recognition that this is not vibrationally compatible with who you prefer to be. It will feel very different. It will feel more like a release. It will feel more like a lightening of your energy rather than the energy of resistance.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Um, can you let me know where the monkey mind, the chatter mind, or stream of thoughts comes from? Those thoughts are constantly streaming through the mind, especially during meditation. This person just cannot calm the monkey mind down.
Well, it comes from belief systems. It comes from the way you handle the belief systems that are fed to you by the subconscious mind, that come from the unconscious mind. Remember, the subconscious is the gatekeeper. The unconscious mind has all of the knowledge of all the beliefs that you will face, all of the challenges you will face in your life to let go of beliefs that don't work for you. It feeds those beliefs to the subconscious mind, which acts as the gatekeeper and determines when you are ready to look at a particular belief, and so doles them out to you when you are ready to face and explore them, when you're ready to go through the process and the challenge of understanding how to learn the lesson from those belief systems and let go of the ones that are vibrationally not compatible with who you prefer to be. So when you are allowing yourself or not allowing yourself to let those belief systems be explored, when you're actually trying to push them away, they will come back as a very strong, strong echo, and you will not be able to silence them until you actually face them and use them in a more positive way to find out why you are experiencing that chatter that you're talking about, because they're usually representative of beliefs that you're unwilling to face because you think that you should be in some way, shape, or form not having to face them, not having to listen to them. It's important to listen to them to see what they're saying about the challenges and lessons that you need to learn from what is going on, what is echoing in your mind. So when you do a meditation and that chattering starts, don't try to get rid of it. Don't try to silence them. Explore them. What is this chat all about? Does it lead me to a belief system that I need to let go of or that I need to simply be aware of? So that again, it's a process of knowing yourself. So don't try to expunge them. Try to listen to them and explore them one at a time to find out what the chattering represents.
Okay. By following the formula, being an example of love, compassion, joy, kindness, and service to all, while trusting the synchronicity of each moment, will this naturally lead us to the best possible outcome for first contact?
Yes, simple as that. Yes.
And I guess this may be a second part to the question. What if having an expectation was the reason for the action was exciting to begin with, or adds to the overall excitement? For example, if I'm planning to release a new song, part of what builds the excitement is how many people listened to it or liked it. I'm having a hard time imagining how I would be able to act on my passion for its own sake. I would really appreciate any clarity on this.
Instead of focusing on the idea of the number of people, allow yourself to focus on the knowledge that the people who need it will receive it and receive benefit from it and joy from it. Don't focus so much on the number. Remember, it's not about quantity, it's about quality, as you people say. Therefore, get excited about the quality of what you are creating in its pure form, because you know that because it contains high vibrational quality, because it has been created from your joy, your imagination, and creativity, it will reach who it needs to reach and allow them to also match that vibration and experience joy and inspiration in their lives too. So focus on the quality, not the quantity.
Okay, and this person would like to know, how do I know when I have truly changed my belief? I'm working on self-worth, and I can say I'm worthy and even believe it, but my circumstances are still the same. I feel stuck and I don't know what to do about it.
Remember, it's not about circumstances that tell you you've changed. It's about whether you respond differently to the same circumstances that tell you that you've changed. It shouldn't matter whether the circumstances change. If your response to it has changed, you will still get a benefit from it by staying in the positive energy. This is why this is the fourth step of the formula and why it's so important to remain in a positive state no matter what happens. Remember, it's not about what happens, it's about what you do with what happens that makes the difference. So if you're expecting the outer reality to change because you say that you've changed, you are working it backwards. It doesn't matter if the outer reality changes, because the outer reality will have only the effect on you that is determined by the state of being you create. And the state of being you create is your response to that circumstance, even if that circumstance remains the same and doesn't change. It's your response that needs to change, your energy that needs to change, your relationship to it that needs to change, and is what determines you have truly changed, not whether the outside changes or not.
Okay. And this person is interested in letting go of limiting beliefs. He says, or she says, I've been applying your principles recently and feel much better overall. I've noticed, however, that I still have limiting beliefs that I'm holding on to and want to explore them further to let go. This has been my focus for the past few months. Sometimes, though, answers don't come or the same limiting belief keeps resurfacing. How can I ensure I've successfully let go of a belief? What would be the sign that it's resolved?
The sign that it's resolved would be that the belief no longer makes any sense to hold on to, because you don't hold on to beliefs that don't make sense to do so. Again, this goes to what we have said about the motivational mechanism in humans. You only hold on to beliefs that you believe actually serve you. Even if you know intellectually that they don't, you must believe the alternative is worse, or you wouldn't hold on to the beliefs that you have. It must be that you view the belief that you're holding on to, even if you know it's not to your benefit, as being safer as a belief, more familiar as a belief, easier to deal with than the alternative should you decide to let it go and change your belief. So you have to find out what it is you're afraid would happen if you actually changed the belief. If you have a belief that says the alternative is worse, then you will still hold on to whatever it is you're holding on to that you know may not be serving you, but you believe serves you better than the alternative. So again, it takes self-investigation and transparency to understand why you're holding on to it. And it's usually because you believe that to let go of it or to go into another belief system, that something worse would happen than what you're already experiencing. So you just need more and deeper investigation of yourself as to what you are afraid would happen if you did in fact change your belief.
Okay. And this next set of questions is about the drones that
Yes,
have been happening recently.
we
So
will
just,
answer them all in one statement. Most of the drones that you have been seeing have to do with man-made devices, human-made devices that are surveilling, observing, and protecting against incursions from others with ill intent. Some of the drones may be extraterrestrial vehicles disguised as drones, but many of the drones, even the ones that are human made, military made, that are involved in this surveillance and observation, may still be being coordinated by extraterrestrial beings in terms of the information that is being gathered by the drones that is important for preventing others of ill intent from doing actions that would be detrimental to many of the societies on your planet. So it's a very complex and involved operation that involves not only your military, but also extraterrestrials on another level to help coordinate information that provides the protection necessary to prevent actions that have ill intent from happening in your world. And that is all we will say at this time.
okay. Well, that's helpful because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering.